It's patch day for Battlefield 5, and update 4.4 is now live and available for everybody to download. This update is a rather big one. There's lots of content coming to the game, there's a bunch of fixes in this update as well, so we're going to dig into the official patch notes and we're going to get you all the information that you need to be right up to date. We've got weapon changes to discuss, an update to the way parachutes handle, and lots of other things besides. So, without further ado, let's get down to business. First on our patch notes list, we're going to go through the brand new content so you guys know what to look for. This patch is going to bring the brand new close quarters maps to the game, Lofoten Islands and Provence. They are now active, or they will be by the time this video is uploaded, and they can be played in the Squad Conquest and Team Deathmatch rotations. Lofoten Islands is set within a similar biome to the Halvoy map from the Firestorm game mode, so you're going to recognise a lot of the assets there. But it takes place across two different islands. The Squad Conquest layout uses the shoreline dockyard, and the Team Deathmatch layout, that takes place on the islands out in the water. Secondly, Provence, it's a tight, claustrophobic French village map, and it's definitely the smaller of the two new maps. It's very beige, it's not my favourite, but I'm sure plenty of you will end up enjoying it. Secondly, any fans out there of the Squad Conquest game mode, they'll be happy to learn that the Mercury map is being added to the rotation with this update as well, so technically in this patch, you're getting 3 new maps for the Squad Conquest mode, and 2 of them are brand new, and then Mercury is being updated to include Squad Conquest. I know Squad Conquest is a mode that players in less populated regions for Battlefield 5 really do quite enjoy. Places like Australia and New Zealand, there are smaller player numbers in those regions, and that means that servers with smaller player counts, so Squad Conquest 8v8, they stay more populated for longer. So anyone who likes Squad Conquest, you get 3 new maps today instead of 2. And then we've got 2 new weapons. They're arriving with the patch today. They're going to become Tides of War rewards over the next 2 weeks. You'll be happy to know they are not knives, they are not melee weapons, they're primary weapons. The first one is the Panzerbuchse 39 anti-tank rifle, and the second is the Breda PG assault rifle. Now, I got to play with both of these at Gamescom. I think both of them will fit quite nicely into the mix, but I'm not really sure we needed another bipod-reliant one-hit kill rifle in the game. I personally think the team needs to take a look at the balancing of those weapons and maybe reclassify them as gadgets or something with less ammunition, but that's just me. Maybe I'm a little bit angry towards those rifles. But the Breda PG, which is the one that I use most at the event, it's a 4-round burst fire assault rifle. It's got semi-automatic fire as well, and during my few rounds that I had with it, I found it to be a little bit of a beast, especially in semi-automatic fire. Once this thing unlocks, give it a go in semi-automatic fire. It is really, really good. And then some icing on the cake for you, or depending on how you look at it, this might be something that you've really wanted for a long time. The max career rank increase is being activated with this update. Now you're going to be able to start your journey from rank 50 all the way to rank 500, and at every rank you achieve, you're going to be unlocking company coin as well. So there's something for you to grind for every single match that you play. Right then, that's the new content out of the way, so let's move on to the proper patch notes and some of these bigger changes. We're going to start out with sniper rifles. They've seen a little bit of a change. I know these changes are going to make the recon mains out there quite happy, so let's dig into it. First of all, DICE has adjusted the bullet penetration effectiveness of all bolt action, all self-loading, and both anti-tank rifles, meaning you should find that these high-power rounds now deal more damage through different surfaces than they did beforehand. If you know someone is hiding behind a fence, you are going to hit them a little bit harder than you did before if you can land a shot. Of course, the fence is obscuring the player, you don't know where they are, but these rifles should now hit a little bit harder. And then on to some individual changes. So for the Lee Enfield and the Ross rifle, the minimum damage has been increased from 55 to 60, and maximum damage is going up from 60 to 65. For the Gewehr 95, minimum damage is being increased from 60 to 66. For the Kar 98, exactly the same, minimum damage is going up from 60 to 66. And for the Krag, the minimum and maximum damage is being set to 60. That makes it a flat damage model rifle. Now, from what I can tell at this early stage, these changes are going to translate into more kills on damaged enemies, with the minimum damage coming up a little bit. So at longer ranges, you're going to be doing more damage. And likely at close range, you're going to need less shots with your secondary to finish off a player if you hit them with a sniper round, because you're doing a little bit more damage at the maximum end. Next up, we're going to talk about SMGs, because within this update, they've seen a big shift when it comes to recoil. But firstly, in general, hipfire accuracy has been improved whilst jumping with an SMG, and this also applies to sidearms, pistol carbines, bolt-action carbines, and assault rifles. But the recoil changes, they only apply to SMGs, and I've got all the numbers here, so let's go through them. There are lots of numbers in this next section, but hopefully you'll understand them. So firstly, for the EMP, initial vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.55 to 0.52. Max vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.73 to 0.6. Horizontal recoil has been reduced from 0.35 to 0.31, and the overall recoil pattern for the weapon has been reduced. For the MAB, initial vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.55 to 0.5. Max vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.73 to 0.59. Horizontal recoil has been reduced from 0.3 to 0.267 with the ported barrel specialization. The overall recoil pattern has been reduced for the weapon, and a fix has been applied for the horizontal recoil in hipfire being slightly too high. For the MP28, the max vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.7 to 0.68. Horizontal recoil has been reduced from 0.75 to 0.66, and from 0.6 to 0.55 with the ported barrel specialization. And the overall recoil pattern has been reduced as well. For the MP34, the recoil buffer specialization has been replaced with enhanced grips, so this is going to reset your spec tree for the weapon. You're going to have to go in and reapply your preferred route. This applies to everybody, so if you like using this weapon, you will have to go in and redo your specializations. Initial vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.5 to 0.48. Max vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.63 to 0.5. Horizontal recoil has been reduced from 0.4 to 0.32, and from 0.2 to 0.17 with the ported barrel specialization, and the overall recoil pattern has been reduced. For the MP40, initial vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.48 to 0.42, and the max vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.63 to 0.57. For the Tommy gun, horizontal recoil has been reduced from 0.9 to 0.77. The ported barrel specialization has been replaced with custom stock, so just like the MP34, this will have reset your spec tree, so if you like using the Tommy gun, you're going to have to go in and reapply the specs that you want in the menu, and the overall recoil pattern has been reduced as well. For the Suomi, vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.76 to 0.72. Horizontal recoil has been reduced from 0.93 to 0.8. The ported barrel specialization has been replaced with custom stock, just like the Tommy gun. Again, you're going to have to go in and reapply all the specs that you want because it's been reset, and the overall recoil has been slightly reduced. And then finally for the SMGs, the ZK383. Initial vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.42 to 0.4. Max vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.5 to 0.46. And the recoil pattern has been slightly reduced as well when using the light bolt specialization. So all of those changes for the SMGs, if you kind of zoned out when I was talking there, and definitely wouldn't blame you with all those numbers, but everything that I've just spoken about, that adds up to a buff for the SMGs. They are now slightly easier to control in their intended engagement ranges, and that is of course up close. SMGs have certainly come a long way since the launch of the game, and this next set of changes should make them just a little bit more effective in close range gunfights. Next up, we're going to look at some more general weapon and gadget changes. This first one, there's not a huge amount of detail, but it does appear to be a rather small change. And when I say small, it's a small change, but I think it's going to have a big effect. And I think it's one of the first changes for this category of weapons. And more stuff is going to be coming in the next patch for this as well, but all MMGs are having their vertical recoil increased by 150% on the first shot. And then it's going to decrease to the current value starting from the 5th shot. so the first 4 shots are going to have a lot more recoil applied to them. That's going to make initial control of an MMG much harder, and I think this change is intended to stop some of those laser beam moments of accuracy that these weapons have, just mowing down players the moment you start firing. We're going to see how well this works in this patch, but as I say, more are coming in the next patch as well, but it seems DICE is finally going ahead and changing up the MMG somewhat. I'm really happy about this. I know some people won't be, but genuinely, I'm happy they're changing them. Also in this update, DICE is enabling the ability for soldiers to throw back their own grenades. Now, this is going to be really helpful for me because it's quite often that I misthrow a grenade and it bounces off a wall and ends up very, very close to me. Before this patch, there was nothing you could do. You just had to run away from your own grenade and hide around the corner. But now, it's been activated that if you misthrow it and it lands nearby you, or you want to run after your own grenade and throw it a bit further, you can now do that. Run up to it and hit the interact button and it will throw it in the direction that you're facing. So, that's a nice change. And then the AT grenade pistol has been fixed so that it deals the correct damage against buildings. Previously, from another patch, this was set too low and it wasn't working properly. 2 more big changes that we need to talk about before the end of this video. The first one, the way that parachutes are going to work. Battlefield 5 doesn't really involve that many opportunities to use a parachute, but these changes are going to bring the system a little bit closer towards how it works in previous games in the franchise, and I believe these parachute changes are only for main multiplayer. These won't move into Firestorm. Parachutes can now be opened earlier when you're falling, and players are going to have a bit more gliding control in general. Direction and aiming now affects the parachute more than it did before, and descent speed is affected by direction as well. According to Florian, DICE developer, this parachute change is closer to the likes of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, but it isn't identical. Different maps in Battlefield 5, they elevate and drop the ground a little bit, and pushing the changes any further than where they are now with this patch, that would have allowed players to reach areas that were not intended. So it's as close as they can get them based on how Battlefield 5 currently works. And then lastly, the biggest fix of them all, stuttering. Having got the patch onto my PC now, and with it up and running, I can say that the fix that DICE has applied has made a solid difference to the stuttering performance of the game. Some players are still reporting a couple of stutters here and there, but it's nothing like as severe as it was before the patch, which is great initial news. Now, of course, one of the major sticking points for that stuttering was the Tides of War challenges. Those seem to have a really big effect on the performance. And with those already being completed for me this week, I haven't been able to test if this fix has fixed those issues as well, so we're going to have to wait for more people to report in about this problem. The patch needed to land well in terms of stability and optimization, and early reports are suggesting that things are going well, which means that the delays to the patch were definitely worth it. I'd rather have a patch that works and was delayed than the patch coming out and introducing more bugs, but I understand that some people don't feel that way. Overall then, on paper, this looks like a very good patch indeed. The next couple of days will for sure be ones that the community dives into and gives the update a proper comb over, and we'll know for sure if things are as good as they seem right now. I'm hoping after this patch that I can stop being so hesitant about the performance of the patch and I can just get on with playing the new content, but based on the last few patches, I still don't really have that much confidence that things are going to work out of the box. Everything seems okay at the moment, but it could be that once the console players come online and their patches go up, the issues start to show. At this point, we just don't know. I'll probably report back in a couple of days. But thanks very much for watching today and going through the patch notes with me, and until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.